Today, we're going to be talking about how to create a positive work environment and why that is so important and what it means. One of the most important parts that I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners don't understand as they're building a team in their business, that they are the creator of their culture. They are the ones that are in control of what is happening, what that culture feels like, what that environment feels like, what the vibe is. You must lead by example. You're the one in control. You're the one that chose to hire these people. You're the one that needs to be there to cultivate the relationships and what energy and vibe needs to be. They don't come to your business and just bring their own vibe and should be let loose to just be everything that they feel like being in the moments that they feel like being them, right? Yes, there needs to be some room for people to have their own personality and to be who they are. However, when you are not having some structure and some elements of the culture that are being somewhat controlled or facilitated, so those individuals that are coming with all their different personalities and all their different characteristics into your business are not able to mesh who they are and be comfortable being who they are within the standards and the confines of what your business means to do, its purpose, how you want this to be carried out, the different behaviors and things that they need to be doing so that they are aligning with your goals and your visions and where this company needs to go, but also enjoying the time that they're there and enjoying the things that they are doing so that they can continue bringing that positive energy. And everybody really loves being in that work environment. They've got a good work experience when they come in every day to do the things that they need to do and accomplish what your company's vision is. So remember, always, you are the visionary and you are the one that gets to choose what your company's culture and what your work environment gets to be. If you are not clearly communicating what that vision is, how you want them to uphold that, the daily activities they need to be doing, and how you want them to do them, then they can't effectively be able to uphold those and to show up and rise to the occasion to accomplish that. So if your team isn't buying into this and isn't on board, it's your responsibility to shift that, because they're not going to just show up and do it for you. If anything, if you let them just run wild, they're going to turn it into whatever it is going to turn into by default, and you will not have control anymore. I have spoken to many clients and seen many agencies that just don't know what to do anymore. They're throwing their hands up and they're just like, my team won't do this. And unfortunately, the fact of the matter is, if your team is not going to do that, one, you need to go look in the mirror and see what you've let cultivate and how you can make that shift. And if you are working on that shift, as we talk about the 5 ways, I'm going to give you some recommendations to do that, then they shouldn't be part of your team. So let's dive into what those 5 ways are that you can cultivate a positive work environment and culture in your business. Before we dive into that, I want to remind you that every company has a culture, every company has values, every company has a work environment vibe and the way things feel and the way they are run. Whether you identify it and clearly manage it and control it, or if it is created by default. So the goal is to make the environment what you need it to be, to allow everybody to show up and achieve the goals that we need the company to achieve, while also making sure that they are happy and motivated to do so. Okay, so number 1 is you have to identify your company's core values. And I know that you've probably heard this many times. Your company has values. The people that work within your organization have things that they value, and so do you. If you are not clearly identifying what those are and ensuring that they understand the definition and what the values are that they also need to have in order for the day-to-day operations to be based off these important things that you believe in as the leader, and they can attach themselves to that, but also being able to use those to hire the right people who believe the things that you believe, who value the things that you value, will make creating an environment that you want to create so much easier than trying to hire somebody and change the way they think and change the things that they believe. It is much harder to do that than to go out and find people who align and believe the things that you do. And then as you clearly define what those core values are, you can then go deeper and say, here's how we show up to live out these core values and to uphold these values within our organization. It is so much easier to cultivate the right culture that you need when you have these things clearly defined. And you will continue to hear me say throughout this video that it is your responsibility to define things, to create things, to clearly communicate the things that you need your team to be doing and how you need them to be doing them. Because if we are not clear, we leave too much room for assumption, for just doing it the way they feel like they need to do it. And honestly, our team wants boundaries. They want clear communication. They want to know what the standard is and how they should be upholding it. So if you are not clearly communicating to your team and creating these things on the front end, you are doing yourself and them a disservice and setting them up to possibly fail. The next thing that is important is making sure that the vision you have for your company, where is it going 5, 10, 15 years from now? What are you trying to accomplish? Isn't big enough to allow the people working in your organization or working with your organization to find themselves underneath the umbrella of that vision, then they're not going to have enough room to buy into it. If it's all about you or all about the impact that you're going to have in the world, and they just don't see how their lives are going to be impacted or their lives are going to change or how it's going to make them have a better life and work experience, then it's hard for them to buy into that vision and therefore harder for them to show up and be positive about the things that they're doing, what they need to do. And at that point, they're just clocking in to make a paycheck, and that's not what we want. We're not going to create a good work environment and a good culture when they don't have a vision that they can attach to. It needs to be compelling enough and motivating enough for them to say, hey, I want to be a part of this. I see how this can change my life. And while we're doing this, I can also see how it creates impact in others and in the world. So make sure that the vision that you have is clearly stated, constantly communicated and understood, but also is inclusive of those that are working for you and your company. The next thing that you need to do, which is I think the hardest part for business owners, because we tend to always be stuck in the doing, and it is very hard for us to think about, okay, how am I going to step out and kind of work on my business and create something I call the operating system, or create the ecosystem of your business, that machine of how things are run, when they need to be done, who's going to get them done. But creating this operating system will allow them to say, okay, here's the vision and here's how we're going to do these things and how we're going to get them done. So you're very clear on what the processes are, on what the steps are, on what the activities need to be, so that they can show up and accomplish these things. And then once you have this operating system ironed out, written out, and ready for you and your team to start utilizing as a process, you need to continue to give it to them as a resource, refine that, but also make sure that you are showing up and providing constant development and training and being there to ensure that they're able to take this and run with it and do the best that they can. So that also means that some of your team members might need a little bit more personalized support depending on their skill set and depending on what it is they're going to be doing within your company. Don't be afraid to show up and support your team. Now, I'm not saying show up and support your team every 5 seconds of every day, or to continue to repeat yourself until you want to blow your brains out. There needs to be some advancement and development on the side of your team. And if they continue to not do the things that you need them to do after you've provided an operating system, after you've been super clear, after they know what positions they need to be playing within your business, and you are wasting so much time trying to get them there, they probably don't need to continue to be in your business. But when we start with the beginning, with creating those core values and having that vision and then giving them the operating system that they just need to show up, plug in and play, and do it with the motivation of aligning with your core values and your vision, you will find way more success, and you will see that they will take initiative and be innovative and want to show up and make things better with you, because again, they are on this journey and they're choosing to be there for things above and beyond just getting a paycheck. The next thing that is really important to create a positive work environment is to track data. And I know that may sound a little nerdy, but when the metrics that are being measured and the metrics that are needed to achieve the goals and the vision that you have are transparent, and it is everyone's responsibility to track that information, people can go in and see how well they're doing. They can see how well the company's doing. They can see how they and their activity and the results they're bringing is impacting what the company is achieving. There's going to be more transparency and inclusiveness for them to understand what is going on and how they can make shifts and changes to continue to excel and make that better and bring in those results. It also allows the team to hold themselves accountable so that you're not sitting there micromanaging all day long. When you have metrics that you're measuring that are aligned with the things that your team members need to be doing to achieve the results they need to achieve, and it's connected to that operating system of here are the things that we do, this is why we do them, and here's the measurement of what we're going to be checking and the standard that we want to achieve, they're going to be able to go in every day and see what those numbers are. The numbers don't lie, and creating a data tracking system based on measures and metrics that you need to measure will allow for transparency, will allow for more accountability, and when you need to make any adjustments or bring back any feedback, you can use those numbers so that it's not just off of a gut feeling or a vibe that's off, right? You can actually use metrics to help advance your team and help them understand what it is we're doing, where are we going, why it is we're trying to achieve that, and then how we want to get that done. I think the biggest thing that has also really helped our culture is to cultivate personal relationships with the people in our business and on our team. I think a lot of people get nervous about getting too close to their team members, employees, whatever you want to classify them as. And I think there's definitely a fine line that you can cross very easily. However, it is important for us to remember these are human beings. They have heartbeats, they have lives and families and their own personal goals. And the more you can understand about their life, the things that are important to them, the things they want to achieve, and more about who they are and kind of where they come from, the easier it's going to be for you to place them in the right positions and understand the communication style you need to have. And it's not always going to be this one size fits all. It's important for you to take some time to have some fun and get to know these people outside of the day-to-day activities and outside of that vision that you both are on the journey together to accomplish. So here are some ways that I do that. And the last kind of piece of this to creating that culture and that work environment that's positive is to have some fun. Make things fun. You know, especially in certain industries, the day-to-day and the mundane activities are not fun. They're just things that sometimes just need to get done. And when you can incorporate some fun into that, then your team's gonna be more motivated to show up. They're gonna know there's gonna be some fun times, and there's gonna be some times we gotta put our head down and get to work. But the more fun that they can also have within those mundane things, I think really made a difference, at least in our businesses, to be able to cultivate great relationships with our team members, make it harder for them to wanna leave, make it easier for them to want to show up, right? And so here are some ways that we do that. The first thing that we do is we wanna celebrate them, and we want to celebrate the accomplishments that we've achieved. A couple ways that we do that is we make a big deal out of their birthdays, their work anniversaries, things like that. We want to make sure it's individualized and personalized to them. We also create a big deal with things that they accomplish, right? And we want to make sure that we're rewarding them in public and doing all the things we can to let them know we appreciate their efforts and the things that they're doing, and doing that positive reinforcement of, hey, you worked hard, you achieved this thing, we put a goal in place and you went for it and you achieved it, and we want to positively reinforce that thing for you to continue to keep doing. So make sure that you're doing what you can to celebrate within your company, individuals and your team, and the things that you're accomplishing. The next thing that we started doing was something that I call quarterly outings. We would schedule time for the entire team to go out after hours, whether it was after work on a weekday or on the weekends, and we would go do something fun. Something that might be team building, something that might just be fun and kind of like a reward for the hard work. Maybe it's kind of more personal development style, but we've done everything from going to escape rooms to going to self-development conferences to going to shows. And we love to eat, so eating is always a part of it, because I really think conversations around a table where you're sharing meals and sharing food is something where conversations start to come up and we don't talk about work. We make sure it's about life life and family and struggles and things we're going through and joys. Really allow each of us as a team to get to know the other person. For example, when you have a new person coming into your office and they're just sitting at a desk across from the rest of the team, let's say, it's intimidating, you don't know much about them, all you know is the results that they're bringing in and the way they work day to day. You don't know maybe what's happening at home or the things that they're maybe interested in or things that motivate them and make them who they are as well. And the more team outings we did, the more fun we started having, the more we started realizing each person is an individual and it's not just about the results they're bringing into our business, but we had a better and easier time engaging with each other, motivating each other, having more understanding and compassion for each person, and it really made a difference in the work environment that we had. So going out 4 times a year and doing something with and for your team is not that big of a deal. You don't need to spend tons of money. It could be very, very simple. So that is something that I definitely think you should incorporate. The other thing for us to have fun, and I think that was super great and motivating, and at first my team was a little hesitant, but every single year we sit down and create vision boards together. Vision boards for their personal lives, and I will create a vision board for myself as well. And you really get to know the things that are important to them and the things they want to achieve. So selfishly, I get to see the things that are important to them and to see how I can help them achieve those by utilizing our company and the goals that we want to achieve throughout the next year. But it really makes a huge impact when they see a leader who cares about what they want to accomplish in their life, who also shows up and does what they can to help them do that. Getting to and through the next year, seeing them be able to check off the things that they want to accomplish and they set because you kind of forced them to or facilitated the space for them to do that is incredible. Now the next year they show up on their vision board planning and creating, they are excited to do so. It just makes a better relationship between you as the leader and them as being part of your team, that they also feel like they're not just another person. You actually care about the way they live their life and how they achieve the things they want to achieve. And finally, when you're having fun, even when there's things you have to do for team development, for helping them have certain trainings, what are ways that you can incorporate some fun? Maybe you gamify it a little bit. Maybe you have the boring stuff and then you guys go do something fun. Maybe it's leaving town and going on a weekend with your team to a conference and being able to step outside of the office and go do something different, right? So making sure that when you're doing training and development that you're able to make it fun. Creating a culture and controlling one that you want to have in your business is definitely a journey. I would not suggest focusing on all the things that we've talked about so far and trying to do them all. I definitely think you should start in the beginning when we talked about identifying core values, move on to creating that vision, move on to working on that operating system, and then work on tracking the data based off the activities and the things that you believe you need to measure, and then making sure that you are having as much fun as possible throughout this journey. Each of these things really build upon each other. So when you can start in the beginning and focus on one thing and get that really great, then you can move on to the next thing and just continue to implement and cultivate that relationship. And I will tell you, as you continue to show up and lead by example, your team is looking to you and want to follow the direction that you're going, as long as they align with those things. And they can't do that if you're not clear and you don't make sure you're working on these very important foundational business pieces to allow a group of people to want to be part of what it is you want to do and what you are doing. And if you are able to create the things that we've talked about, you're going to be an amazing leader. They're going to look up to you. You're also going to make sure that the team knows you are part of that team and that you care about them. And it's going to completely shift the environment that you have. I urge you to write these 5 things down and start working on them one piece at a time. And don't be afraid to let your team know and have them join you on this journey as you start shifting the culture. Some people might need to go, but those that are going to stay are going to be so happy and excited that you're taking this on to really care about what their work experience is and what their life experience is through the company that you have, and really enjoy every single day in your business. Hope this helped you. I can't wait to find out what you've tried, what you've implemented, and how it's working. Make sure to comment below which one you're gonna get started on right away. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video so that it can remind me that you want me to keep showing up and sharing the things that I have been able to do in my businesses, and really just want to see you guys succeed. I am here for you to win. So make sure you subscribe and like this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.